Hi, my name is Amanda Sheppelman, and this is my critical reflection for my comprehensive portfolio. I am currently a self-contained special education teacher for grades second and third, and I have been in this position the entire time that I've been through this program and since I first started teaching. So, the first section is about reflecting back on my ideas and perceptions when I began in this program and specifically about working with students with exceptionalities. One thing that I remember looking back on is how much I struggled with students with behaviors. And the part that stuck with me is that I took all of their behaviors personally, and it was a reflection of my teaching and my ability as a teacher. And also how often myself included, my colleagues and myself would say, "Oh, my kids can't do this. Oh, they won't be able to do that." And it was not during like construction time, but it was mainly during when we were presented new materials, new items to use in our classroom, new topics for curriculum. And this is a lot to do with our district just went through a big change of changing math curriculums. And I think a lot of it stems from that. So, and this kind of leads me into this next point, and I feel like our kids are often put in these boxes, our students with exceptionalities, and how, because they're in this box, therefore they hit all of these ideas of they can't do this, they need to be getting this because they are in a self contained classroom, or they are like this because they're in resource, that kind of thing. But really, SPED is this spectrum of services, can be from little to as much as the kid needs. Also, I never realized how much data I would need to take during my time as a special education teacher and how much data everyone takes. And that was something that I was just unaware of beginning this whole process. Um, and how much research and time went into coming up with these interventions and resources and curriculums that we use for our um, kids with exceptionalities. And I think it's because at that time, like everything was kind of set out for me. Like this is what we're doing. This is what's happening. It was all very black and white. There was nothing for me to be a teacher at, kind of in the beginning. So this next section is about analyzing my preconceptions at the beginning of my time at Fort Hays. So when I first talked about students with behaviors and my struggle, I found that I just cannot take their behaviors personally. Um, and what really helped with this is the behavior or functional behavior analysis intervention plan from SPED 804. And that really opened my eyes and how useful that tool and assessment is. Also, how time consuming and how many parts and pieces there are, and how you need to take accurate data and how much data you need to take, which kind of connects back to one of my other assumptions. And that was a lot of work, but a lot of information is gained from that. We were able to see what this child needed, why they were behaving the way they were, and implement an intervention plan that later on down there after the project was turned in benefited the student of mine. And it was great because I got to interact with the people that service all of him, not just the parts that I see him during the day. So that was pretty cool. And that goes along with Council for Exceptional Children's assessment portion. So their standard 4, also their standard 5, because it talks about strategies and instructional planning, which is part of creating a behavior plan. And it also goes along with some of Fort Hays's program learning outcomes, which is creating environments that best meet our needs. And for him, that was having this plan in place for him. So, and then the next part that I talked about was how often our kids are in these boxes and how often we say we can't. And really through here, I've just learned about all these different resources and research that I can do to help individualize their instructions and modify the instruction to meet these kids' needs. And again, this hits the program learning outcome number 3 and also number 5 again, because it's all about instructional planning and strategies. I am looking for strategies that will help benefit my students based on their needs. It's not fitting them into a box, it's taking the curriculum and helping it fit the student. And it could be something as simple as providing wide-lined paper or a weighted pencil to something as intensive as a scribe or frames of you need a prompt for each portion of it, or even modifying and changing the assignment completely. And if that's what the kid needs and will help them improve, then that's what we need to do. The next part was how um, I didn't think that there was a whole lot of data in this process, and it's actually in both the program learning outcomes and the Council for Exceptional Children is all about informal and formal assessments. And based on those is the data gained from those assessments. And then from that data, we take and make decisions for our students. And it's how we decide this intervention is working, let's keep going. This intervention is not working, we need to try something else. Or they don't need this intervention more, we can take it out completely and not replace it with anything else. And that's the beauty about formal and informal assessments, is they show us what's working, what's not working, and how we best can meet the needs of these students. So the final section, moving forward to new ideas and direction, what made me change my mind is, again, all the resources and tools that I have found throughout my time in this program. There's the book with all of the evidence-based strategies on it, and it was wonderful that I got to use one of those strategies. It was a spelling one with one of my students and see how much it works. I kind of, like I said, there was these boxes, and I figured that I don't need to do anything else extra. But this one improved my students' ability to spell words, and it was great to see that. Also, I really enjoyed going and observing other people's classrooms at different age ranges. Recently in SPED 861, I got to go to a high school level special education class. I had no idea what that would look like or how that would work, but I loved seeing it. And it kind of changed my perspective a little bit on how I thought I would only ever do elementary. But I really enjoyed the high school kids and how much they can communicate and banter with you in an appropriate manner throughout your day, and it just made it fun. And then also, on the complete opposite spectrum, is the early um, childhood education special education classrooms. They were wonderful. I got to see things that I blew my mind. In one classroom, a young student was pretty blind and almost deaf. She could see some shapes and figures, but nothing very definitive. And so they had a tactile visual schedule. And I was like, I have never seen something like that. That is awesome. And so for snack time, they literally had a spoon glued down so she would feel the spoon. For carpet time, they had a piece of the carpet glued onto another square, and they had it all in order on a ring for the student. I thought that is amazing, and that could have worked with some of my younger students that I have had. They are no longer on my caseload, but that would have been wonderful. And knowing that that resource is out there, I can use it in the future. Also, how much I want something new is I want to know more about behaviors. I want to know more about how they tick, what causes this behavior, more about functional behavior analysis. I want to do more. I want to know more of the details behind it. I just think behavior is an interesting topic and something that I want to further my education in after this program. And then I've also learned about how to meet the needs of my students in a wide variety of ways. Like I said, all these resources and being able to know how to research for these resources, not just actually using them, but actually going out there and finding them. I would have never have thought to go and research on an engine for scholarly articles about resources for students with autism, specifically in writing, and until we did it in this program. And it was a wonderful experience. I'm excited to use all of these resources. Thank you so much for giving me that opportunity.